This video is going to talk about the end of gaming as we know it, and it's bad news for many of you, and I'll start by saying this. I am not what you'd describe as probably a hardcore gamer. You know, I grew up playing Magic the Gathering, I play Hearthstone today, I've been playing the Fallout 76 beta, not impressed. Not the biggest fan of Diablo, I know a little bit about it, but I played Warcraft as a kid, and I typically play video games not all that often, right? So, you know, my friends are playing Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm not really playing that. But for those that are not familiar, we'll do a quick recap. Diablo. It's a video game. It's, I believe it's like an overhead isometric RPG. You're a little guy, you walk through a dungeon, you attack things, you level up, you get items. I played the original way back when. So Blizzard announced the latest iteration, and it was a mobile version. And everybody got really mad, because mobile games are like light versions. They're usually boring. Just quick, something you do when you're like, you know, in the bathroom on a train, you play for a few minutes and then you carry on. You know, the mobile games I have are not anything like Skyrim or these like big open world games, and by no means. So fans were basically waiting for another expansion to Diablo 3 or Part 4. Basically, they want a new game. They want a new game they can play on the computer. Blizzard comes out and goes, "We've got that new game." Everyone gets all excited and they go, "For your phone." And then everyone's like, "Wait, what?" Like, you can't have serious gaming on a phone. Like, for real, people have tried. It just doesn't work, right? I've tried. It doesn't work. But it's one of the other criticisms is also that they basically just reskinned some other game as Diablo. So people are naturally, they're upset. They're really mad. Now, that's not the story I would talk about. Like, you know, I was thinking about making a video about it, but this story from Bloomberg is where it gets more interesting. Activision crashes as Diablo Mobile pits analysts against gamers. Shares fall more than 7% amid user backlash to new game. Wall Street analysts take more positive tone to the launch. Here's the thing. When you're looking at a big convention and the crowd is booing at the way you're structuring the game, yeah, investors are not going to be too happy about that. Because they're like, dude, if your audience is booing you when you announce the game, they're not going to want to play it. We're going to lose money. Like, sell. Get out. They made a big mistake. It's a huge misstep. I want to read through the story a little bit, and then I want to talk about the death of gaming as we know it. Activision Blizzard shares were hammered as video gamers took to social media to criticize a new mobile game they said failed to live up to the storied franchise. The new Diablo Immortal mobile offering fell short of some fan expectations for the popular desktop games. Players lashed out on Twitter and in the comment section of the YouTube trailer with the hashtag #NotMyDiablo. There's even a petition on change.org to cancel the launch that has over 31,000 supporters. Activision sank as much as 7.2% on track for its lowest close since January. Now, it's a surprise to nobody, and I'm not going to pull up these stories. A lot of gaming journalism outlets are blaming the fans and saying, "Oh, you're entitled, you get to take the game and like it." Some people are saying, "Why is anyone even mad? Just don't buy the game." And the reason is, there's two big reasons. For a lot of the fans waiting for a new Diablo, it's like, you know, the company says, "Hey, we're gonna get you the game you want," not. And it's like someone actually asked if it was a joke, if it was a prank. So you've got these fans who are getting all excited, something's finally gonna come, they don't get it. So naturally they're upset. I wouldn't call that entitlement, I would call it disappointment, frustration. Sure. Could, you know, do some people take it over the top? Yeah, of course, people always do. The other reason is that this is a move in gaming towards the pay-to-win model, towards the microtransaction model that is destroying gaming as we know it. When was the last time Rockstar put out, you know, how many years has it been since Grand Theft Auto has been released? Okay? Every few years they'd put out a new updated version, a new game with a new story, and then since they launched Grand Theft Auto Online, nothing. Why? Well, if you were to ask me, it's because there's online transactions. You can pay for certain things. That's my understanding of it. I'm not a huge GTA player, but you know, my friends play it nonstop, so I constantly watch it. And my understanding, there is a pay function that exists within the game now with online, with downloading certain items and adding things like that. And maybe I'm wrong about GTA, so forgive me if that's true. But look at what's going on now with Fallout 76. Why is it that Bethesda decided to launch a version of Fallout that's an open world online multiplayer with, you know, like with a fairly weak story? Well, because it's a base building game, not too dissimilar in some ways from Fallout Shelter, their mobile game. And when I was playing the beta, I noticed something interesting. You can buy atoms and use atoms to buy materials for your camp. Wow. So what can you do? You can crank out those microtransactions to pump the companies full of money because that's where they want to go. That's what works. That's what makes them rich. Fallout Shelter made a ton of money. I don't think Fallout Shelter made more than Skyrim did, but I believe that it made a substantial amount on a much smaller budget. Give people the opportunity to produce content with low overhead and a high return, and they will choose that over a high overhead with a high return. And thus, this is where I see gaming going. I'm a huge fan of Fallout 3. Fallout 3, I think, is one of the best video games ever made. Going through DC, experiencing the city, the destruction, the apocalypse, fantastic. New Vegas, I liked New Vegas, but it's such a small city. I was really bored with just wandering around in the red mountains and desert of, Nevada. So it's like, eh. Fallout 4 was a lot more. I like Fallout 4 a little bit better than New Vegas, kind of. But Fallout 4 got rid of a lot of the interactions that made Fallout 3 fun. Okay? These were games you could play, single-player games where you can go and do your thing. Now what's happening? The latest release, Fallout 76. And I understand they're putting out a different game. And that's fine. But Fallout 76 is so much more thin and boring. Seriously, I played the beta for like 10 minutes and I'm like, this is kind of boring. Like, how do you want to play it? It's just like, what's going on? And there were people running around and I'm like, yeah, I'm just bored by it. I'm bored by it. What am I supposed to do? Build a base? Find somewhere to build a base, play with my friends? Not really my thing. Like when you play Destiny, if you guys have ever played Destiny 2, you have that aspect of leveling up, that grind where you slowly get better. And there's different areas with core objectives, and there's main storyline things you do. And I understand that Fallout 76 does have those, the holotapes. You track people down and try to understand things, but it just seems so thin and so hollow. And I think the main driving force behind it is to make a game where you buy the atoms from the store, so that you can buy more materials to build your camp, so you're giving cash and microtransactions. Let's take a look at Destiny 2. They introduced the Eververse, so you can buy silver, so you can buy cosmetics and other upgrades that actually can have, to a small extent, an impact on the game. Then look at Battlefront 2. What did they do? Microtransactions. They're not going to be making core games anymore. Why, after so many years, are they going for making Diablo this mobile game? Because I'd be willing to bet, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'd be willing to bet there's going to be a menu where you can upgrade your cosmetics and buy items and spend cash, because that's where the money is. They can spend years developing one of the best games in the world, these open world, visually stunning storylines. Years to make, and then they get one big payout that slowly trails out. The opening day is huge, and then it slowly peters down, and then they can do expansions and updates and patches and try and crank in some more of that money, but for the most part, end of story. What did they learn? Man, Assassin's Creed. They're always selling. It started with like expansion packs and like add-ons. I can't remember which the last Assassin's Creed I played where you could actually buy like upgraded weapons and things. It's like, sure, yeah, that's literally pay to win. Now the games are being designed specifically around this function. That in Fallout 76 you're gonna be able to buy atoms that you can use to buy things to build your camp. So let's see what some of the fans said. They said, "I'm not against having a mobile game too, but not instead of a PC game. We've been waiting for far too long for another Diablo 3 expansion, or better yet Diablo 4, signed one petitioner, while another called it an absolute slap in the face of all the fans who stuck with Blizzard through the mess that was Diablo 3, hoping that we'd finally get a good Diablo game. The criticism stands in contrast to sell-side analysts that applauded the company's efforts and defended its rationale. Diablo was supposed to be Blizzard's first shot on goal into the big global mobile game market. Jefferies analyst Timothy O'Shea wrote, noting the criticism from Blizzard's PC fanbase. Games like these attract large, harder core mobile audiences in Asia, and the Diablo franchise is popular in the US, China, Europe, and Korea, continued. The video game's retailer on YouTube racked up more than 2.9 million views in the last 3 days. However, more than 431,000 viewers elected to dislike the video, compared to 16,000 likes. Comparatively, video game revival Take-Two Interactive Software's recent smash hit Red Dead Redemption 2 notched more than 16 million views for its trailer since its release, while recording less than 10,000 dislikes. So here's the thing. I don't know if Red Dead Redemption 2 has like a pay for add-on function. I would be surprised if it didn't. But that's a game. And it's apparently like a really long game. I'm worried that companies are going to look at the cost-benefit analysis and say, Red Dead Redemption 2 is great, we made a lot of money, but once the game was done, we didn't make any money after that. If you make a game that you have to constantly pay for things, the game can live forever on its own. And thus, like I'm not super familiar with how GTA functions, but one friend was telling me that it's basically since they did online and have constantly been creating like different iterations of what you can do online and what you can pay for, that they just haven't decided to make a new game. Like, it hasn't come out in years. Like, the gap has become extremely large. I look at how all these games function. Hopefully the stock falling off is a good sign. But here's my prediction. Back in the day, we used to imagine that video games would slowly become better and better and better until we would create a massive virtual environment where you can put on the headset, plug into your brain, and experience a real world of Warcraft. That's what people thought was going to happen. There was some backlash to ideas about pay to win, and those games kind of didn't do that well. It's like you play a game and it's like you can just give money and get better stuff. That kind of sucks. And World of Warcraft was like, hey, you can't buy gold, you can't do certain things. They realized it was a losing battle, and they realized they were losing money. So 30 years ago, we had this vision of this massive virtual reality we could build, and today it looks like we're actually just going to get some clickbaity pay-to-win nonsense, and that the games are going to be rather hollow, but are going to be manipulative gambling engines that try and manipulate you into giving as much money as possible for as little return as possible. And that is my fear of the future of games. But purists still exist, and so long as there are fans who are willing to mod games like Fallout, we might actually still get good games from core fans who are just purists who want to make the game because they want it to be good. And maybe these big companies will still continue. I hope they do. I hope we can avoid this like the end of real world building, because Skyrim is still one of my favorite games, and that's why they keep re-releasing it, because it's money. And hopefully that works. Hopefully they can make the next, iteration and keep the pay to play out of it, right? So anyway, video game rant. I got another video coming up. This time, still about video games. Apparently, there's a new growing moral outrage over the fact that you can harm NPCs in video games. I kid you not. Stick around. Video in a few minutes.